All right. Vatati, Naiden, Chelam, Shanha, Komi, Vidvare. Haim Racha. Good week, everybody. What a good way to start the week. Start the day with Limud HaChassidus, with the study, learning of Chassidus. As we're in the middle of a discourse. Mitzvahs are likened. Doing the act of a mitzvah is likened to betrothal, and the study of Torah is likened to marriage. Not betrothal, where man and woman belong to each other, but don't live together. Marriage, or nisuyin, how it's called in Hebrew, is how that you're making home together and intimacy together. So with this, so we explained that even though betrothal means you're set apart from others, mitzvahs sets you apart from the world. You're doing God's thing. It separates you from your thing and from worldliness. Yet it does affect you as it internalizes with you. It affects what you think and what you say and what you do. And even somewhat of the heart it affects. Not the very internal part of the heart. Because a mitzvah in the end, it's not in you, it's on you, so to speak. It's on you to fulfill obligation, right? In a sense, it's literally on you. The tefillin is on you. Tzitzis is on you or over you, right? It's the idea of the makif, the encompassing light of God. So the encompassing light is upon us and affects us inwardly, but not entirely. Because the mitzvah is not you. It's God's thing that you're doing, of course, in a way that's your pleasure. I guess it might be likened to, oh, it's my pleasure to do for you. But in the end, I'm doing for you. It's not me. As opposed to study of Torah. The study itself, excuse me. The study itself is like food that becomes a part of you. God's wisdom becomes your wisdom. You start thinking like God thinks. Now, the reason why we can do that, the only reason we can do that, because he gave us the Torah, his wisdom. Otherwise, when I look at the world, we actually, some of Tanya's teachings today, and I perceive godliness, in the end, there's the me that's perceiving, right? So the perception of godliness is that there's the me perceiving in something separate of me, outside of me. But when I learn Torah's not outside of me because it becomes my understanding. And what am I learning? That which is a piece of God's wisdom. It's speaking about, you know, material things down here. All right, so God put his uh, infinite wisdom into a finite parameter, to a physical reality, right? So the law of that an ox gores a cow does damage to it, and the law is such and such, and the Torah says, doesn't matter that it's speaking about some material thing. So it's not that the cow and the ox become, divine wisdom, but the discussion about them and the law about them, rather, the law about them is divine wisdom. So when you understand it, it's internalized. That's the idea. It's greater internalizing. But this now we can understand. We started off with a verse from Shir HaShirim, from the Song of Songs, from King David, King Solomon, rather, right? That, excuse me, Gan Noyalacha Isikala, the garden, the locked garden, my sister, the bride, she's only bride, betrothed, mitzvah, betrothal. And as brought down that Gan over here, the garden, is referring to Gan Eden specifically. Why Gan Eden specifically and not just any garden? And that the metaphor is the Garden of Eden, not anybody can come in except for righteous souls. And as we explained, because after 120 in this world, our souls go to the Garden of Eden, Gan Eden, first has to go through a cleansing process to get there. That's why all souls there are righteous. Doesn't mean we were righteous during our lifetime, but the soul becomes what it is inherently righteous through that cleansing process, and it comes into Gan Eden. And so then, as explained, that through that the souls being locked up in Gan Eden, the righteous souls, so the Jewish people, they kind of lock up their mouths and only have divine pleasure in the divine. Right? Nothing else with God. Right. So this now we'll understand why it's referring to Gan Eden, that only righteous souls can come in. Because the idea of kind of uh, wrapping your mouth and using it only for in that which has divine pleasure. That your divine pleasure is only in godliness. This comes through the fulfillment of a mitzvah. Like it's my pleasure to do this for you, to do something for you. Torah, mitzvahs rather, is God's thing that we do, right? So it's drawn from above, as we said, the makif, the encompassing light. Right? We create a union between the divine, in the divine, between male and female qualities of the divine, and draw that down through the fulfillment of mitzvah. And through that mitzvah, we create a garment for ourselves that protects us to be able to withstand the divine light that illuminates our soul in Gan Eden. And that pleasure that we have, that our soul has above, is just like in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, they were gifted from above divine pleasure in Gan Eden. So likewise, our soul is gifted from above divine pleasure. And the only pleasure the soul has is divine pleasure in Gan Eden, right? Because there is no other pleasure in the Garden of Eden. So it brings that in order, right, to appreciate that through being betrothed to God in a mitzvah, also our divine pleasure is something that comes from above, from God. And it's our pleasure, but it's in His thing, right? Still from above, it's still God's thing, the mitzvah. Now, more deeply, we get to understand. So, in the discourse that the Rebbe is quoting, so it speaks again about giving our portion in Torah, right? Which is, as we said, marriage, the second part, not betrothal, but living together, married, intimacy between. Torah has that intimacy. Intimacy is into me, see. And that's see me. See me for who I am, not what you need from me. That's not intimacy. See in me who I am. Know that. What does that sound like? Torah. Because study of Torah will bring into me that I could see and know God. The mitzvah, I don't know God. The act of the mitzvah. Of course, if you study them about the mitzvah, then you're going to into me see. You're going to be able to see into God. The study of Torah is into God. The act of the mitzvah is me just do it. Or we say is just do it. Do the Jewish thing, do the mitzvah. But Torah study, right, is the intimacy with God, because you're knowing God. And just like in a marriage, knowing your spouse is what will bring you closer. Right? As like, why do you go out with a person? To get to know them. And by getting to know them, if it's Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, or Miss Right that becomes Mrs. Right, right? That's what we're talking about. Now, this part, even though, so the mimer is speaking about the garden, which we explain as Garden of Eden, right? Based on the verse, right? The verse just says the the garden, the locked garden. The Targum explains it means a locked garden, meaning it's locked, only the righteous can get in, right? Right? That's what it means, locked. It also means locked because then it means the fence that that is that protective barrier from negative influences, which that's what mitzvahs do, although it does bring it internalized, right? So that's in reference to mitzvahs that verse explaining. So where does this whole idea of Torah come in? Well, we could probably say that it goes on the rest of the verse where it says Gal Noel Me'en Chit Mayin Chosum. The Gal, okay, so the Gal is a spring that's enclosed. So a spring is, I don't know what the word to use exactly. A flow, right? It's a flow. And as Midrash says, the Gan is referring to the virgin, because remember, betrothal, they're not living together, it's a virgin, and the flow of the spring is referring to the married one who's had intimacy, and that the spring, the locked spring is marriage, as we explained. So the word gal we're saying is like a spring, but it comes from the word gilui, reveal. Reveal to in my eyes, and I will see your wonders in the Torah. Then I will see the wonders. I don't see the wonders now, but I will end up seeing them. When will I end up seeing the wonders of God in His Torah? Which is in the time to come, Mashiach, through the stud, and because then will be revealed the inner teachings of the Torah. that we'll see the wonders of Torah. We won't just, appreciate the law of the Torah, but we'll see the wonders of God in his Torah. Because then will be revealed completely the mimer, the Hasidic discourse we're learning now. Oh boy. Okay, I realize. Okay. In the middle of a thought, but I'm gonna retrace the thought and continue with it tomorrow. Sorry. It's late, didn't realize. See you.